So I was 12 years old, and there was reoccurring abuse in my house, as well as neglect that resulted in us being taken away.
Natalia Edwards and her four sisters, all Alaska Natives, were placed in foster care outside of their tribal community.
So I was in care for a total of 7 years, and then I was in a total of 14 different placements.
But a change in the way the federal government protects and tracks kids like Natalia and her sisters has some worried, and there are special reasons why. Despite making up just 1% of the U.S. juvenile population, American Indian and Alaskan Natives are disproportionately represented in the foster care system, making up 2.6% of kids in foster care, according to the most recent government data.
The institutional racism, some of the bias, and also just some of the staff who are working with Native children and families not having kind of the relationships you need to have with tribal communities leads to children being removed in numbers that are much higher than they should be.
For centuries, American Indian children were forcibly taken from their families and tribes, often placed in boarding schools and adopted by white families without consent. In 1978, Congress passed the Indian Child Welfare Act, requiring in part that states first identify family or tribal members who can take a child before placing them in a home outside of the tribal community, and that they continue to keep track of Native children in their systems. But that hasn't always happened.
There has never been data, federally mandated data collected on elements of the Indian Child Welfare Act. So we actually don't have nationwide data at all on ICWA.
So in 2016, the Obama administration worked to change that. It required states to use the Federal Adoption and Foster Care Analysis Reporting System, or AVCARS, to expand the amount of information states gather about American Indian and Alaskan Native children. This summer, the Trump administration rolled back that expansion. Now, states no longer need to gather all the data related to American Indian and Alaskan Native children. Also, they won't be required to collect information on youth who identify as LGBTQ+. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, its streamlined version came after some states described the data collection as overly burdensome, and the administration said it would be too costly. Now, a lawsuit filed in federal court aims to stop the rollback and maintain the 2016 data collection.
The effect of this rollback is going to be to keep these issues in the dark, to keep LGBTQ plus children and American Indian and Alaska Native children essentially in the shadows, so that we're not collecting data on them and thus not doing all that we can to address the problems.
Supporters say it's all to ensure every effort is made to keep American Indian and Native American foster children protected and connected to their tribes and culture, something Natalia wishes she would have experienced.
I would really know and be so secure within my culture, my sense of community.
Angela Hill, Newsy, Washington.